Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is Sarif Hanum and I want to talk about language variation. So my part is regional variation. Regional variation refers to geographical variety of language. So regional variation means is a variation in speaking a language associated with place, and it is an easy way of observing variety in language. So there are two background knowledge of regional variation or regional dialect. The first one is traditional study of dialect. So the traditional study of dialect, there are four points to be remembered. The first one is speaker distance themselves from one another over time and over space. And second, dialects become new language and unintelligible to one another. For example, language Latin become French in French, Spanish in Spain, and Italian in Italy. So, like I said before, the point one, speaker distance themselves from one another over time and over space. Jadi dari bahasa Latin itu diserap oleh bahasa Perancis, kemudian jadi bahasa baru. Yang kedua diserap oleh bahasa Spanish dan menjadi bahasa baru, kemudian diserap oleh bahasa Italia menjadi bahasa baru. Nah, hal itu terjadi karena di poin awal itu disebutkan bahwa waktu dan tempat mempengaruhi bahasa baru yang berasal dari Latin tadi. Yang kedua ada historical linguistics. Historical linguistics itu how language changes over time and how language relate to one another. Jadi dari yang contoh tadi itu, Latin itu masih bahasa Perancis, Spanish, dan Itali itu masih berhubungan dengan Latin karena akarnya dari bahasa Latin. Dari regional variation ini ada empat aspek. Yang pertama ada traditional model of linguistic change. Jadi ada model model bahasa yang membuat suatu bahasa itu berubah. Yang pertama ada family tree. Family tree itu misalnya dari bahasa Latin yang masih berhubungan dengan Perancis, dengan bahasa Spanyol dan bahasa Itali. Yang kedua ada phonemic split. For example, English F and V are distinctive sounds. Yang ketiga ada the comparative method of reconstruction. Contohnya, English Knape come from the same source. Jadi, English Knape itu sebenarnya berasal dari German Knape. Kemudian, karena adanya sejarah waktu dan tempat, maka terbentuklah English Knape ini. Yang keempat, internal instruction. For example, mouse and mice have different vowel sounds. Yang aspek kedua yaitu dialect atlases. Dialect atlases itu geographical boundaries yang membedakan antara bahasa satu dengan bahasa lain dalam hal linguistic feature. Jadi misalnya high dan low. Misal seperti bahasa Sunda ada ada low and high. Jadi di satu tempat mungkin bahasanya halus, tapi di tempat lain mungkin tidak gitu, dan sebaliknya. Aspek ketiga ada isogloss. Isogloss itu artinya geographical boundaries, different in pronunciation, the meaning of a word, etc.
Linguistic variable is a linguistic item which has identifiable variants. For example, the word singing. It has two variants, ing and in, singing and singing. The next slide is one example of linguistic variable are phonological. For example, some people can say house with H sound and other people say house without H sound. And linguistic variable can also be grammatical, such as including the S in third person singular verb, for example, he talks or he talk, and then including the be in step of construction, For example, he is happy or he be happy or he happy. The next slide is lexical. For example, the name of non-alcoholic carbonate drink based on geographical region in USA. There are pop, soda, coke, and soft drinks. And the name of a light night winter covering for the head are toboggan or toboggan hat, stocking cap, peony. And the last is the important fact to remember is a linguistic variable is an item in the structure of language. An item that has alternate realization as one speaker realized in one way and another a different way, or the same speaker realized in differently on different occasions.
Okay, now we have the discussion of linguistics and social variations. But do you know what is the meaning of social variation? What is the function of social variation in linguistics? So, in linguistics, variables functions as scientists' tools, enabling them to investigate, to recognize, and to analyze particular speech patterns. And there is three variables that affect people in the way they are speaking. The first one is the speaker's socioeconomic status. The social variable of socioeconomic status was found to influence the realization, for example, the use ing in the end of present progressive verb. So, with people with higher economic status, they tend to use ing in the end of their speaking, but with lower class or in less formal occasion, people don't use ing but in. For example, running become running, speaking become speaking, talking become talking. So there's like a transition between formal to less formal and higher socioeconomic to lower socioeconomic. And the second variation is based on the speaker's sex or gender. So, according to Chambers thinks that women have a better ability to learn language and will therefore show more variation. Women are believed to have more ability in linguistics, so they have improvement more than men. And the second point that affects the speaker gender is due to mentality. So male and female have different personal culture just because they see the world differently. So the status of men is derived from their occupation, while women is mostly work at home, so they don't really improve the way their linguistics. Research also proved that male groups exert strong pressure on their members to use their vernacular. Vernacular is like bahasa daerah. So you find men use more vernacular more than women. It also applies in our daily basis. Nah, ini juga kenapa kita tuh sering lihat pria itu berbicara kepada sesamanya, ke teman satu grupnya itu dengan bahasa mereka, dengan bahasa daerah. Sementara kalau misalnya perempuan tuh lebih menggunakan bahasa yang umum digunakan. Meskipun misalnya berasal dari daerah yang sama nih, tapi bertemu di suatu tempat, they talk in Indonesian, not in their vernacular. Okay. The third factor is the factor of race. We are not going to be racist here, but race definitely have impact in the way people talk. For example, the differences between Afro-American and white people or Native American. So the Afro-American use present tense form verb to be, and white American or Native American talk using is. For example, in the word Afro-American would say he be happy, but for Native American or white people, they tend to use he is happy. So there is a significant difference between the two race because of maybe cultural things and many other things that influence the way they talk.
Today I want to explain about data collection and analysis in sociolinguistics. The first, sociolinguistics has two basic dimensions when you do some research. The first, devising some kind of plan for collecting relevant data. And the second, collecting such data from a representative sample of speakers. And then there is some problem maybe appears when researchers does collecting data. There will be a question. There is how can you obtain objective data from the real world without injecting your own self into data? And then how can you be sure that the data you have collected are uncontaminated by the process of investigation itself? And then there is solution. To minimize those problems, sociolinguists suggest to use the usual kind of data collection device. There is a questionnaire designed to elicit data illustrative of the use of the variable or variables that are being investigated. And there is some step how to make claims about the characteristic of population. The first, assess every member of that population for those characteristics, or you can use sample for the whole population in the same way. And second, sample drawn from the population must be thoroughly representative and completely unbiased. And then all parts of the population must be adequately represented. And there is some note about a judgment sample is the kind of sample that prepared in the most sociolinguistic studies. So judgment sample is the sample oftenly used by sociolinguistic research. What is a judgment sample? A judgment sample is a sample that investigated or choose the subject according to a set of criteria, for example, age, gender, social class, and education. The last is about dependent and independent variables. Dependent. The sociolinguistic variable is a dependent variable, the one we are interested in. We want to see what happened to the language, and when we look at its relationship, some factor we can manipulate. Independent is a social class, age, gender, and ethnicity. Okay, that is from me. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.